My daughter came home from third grade with a secret journal entry that made me question everything I thought I knew about my own mother. The call came on a rainy Tuesday. My name is Sarah. I'm a forensic accountant. I spot lies in spreadsheets for a living. But nothing prepared me for what her teacher found. Mrs. Alvarez, my daughter Emma's teacher, asked me to come in before dismissal. No warning, just please come. I sat across from her in a chair that was too small, and she slid a spiral notebook across the table. Pink cover, appealing mermaid sticker. Emma's name is in wobbly cursive. 3 lines, that's all it took to shatter my world. Grandma says I'll live with her soon. Mommy doesn't really want me. My hands froze. I read it again, then the next page. Then the page after that. I stood up, thanked Mrs. Alvarez, and drove straight to my mother's house. No call, no text, and what I found in the guest bedroom, I had no name for it yet. The silence before the storm is always filled with things we refuse to hear. I'm 34, divorced. I work 50 hours a week so Emma can have dance lessons and dental insurance. My ex-husband Mark is fine. He shows up, pays support, and forgets birthdays. We share custody without drama. Or so I thought. Then my father died. Heart attack, mowing the lawn. He was 63. My mother Linda became a ghost in her own 4-bedroom house. My sister Jenna and I took turns staying with her. When Jenna pulled back, her kids had soccer every weekend. I volunteered to bring Emma over every other Saturday. It felt generous. It felt like healing. For a year it looked good. Mom baked cookies. She taught Emma card games. She called her my little angel. But something shifted. Emma started coming home quietly, not sad, watchful. She'd study my face before answering simple questions. Have you ever felt your child pulling away and told yourself it was just a phase? One Sunday, Emma asked why we didn't have a bigger apartment. Grandma says you could afford one if you tried. Another time, I made mac and cheese from a box, her favorite. She pushed the plate away. Grandma's is homemade. She says yours is from a bag. It was from a bag, but Emma never cared before. Then came the group chat, our family thread. The Clark family group went cold. I'd send a photo of Emma at her school play and get a thumbs up from Jenna 2 days later. Mom wouldn't reply at all. I scrolled back, 3 months of one-way conversations. When did I become invisible to my own family? The pressure started in February. Jenna called on a Thursday. Mom says you canceled last weekend. I hadn't. Emma had a stomach bug. I texted Mom a photo of the thermometer, 102.3, no reply. She's heartbroken, Sarah, Jenna said. You could have dropped her off anyway. Then my Aunt Patricia called. Your mother's lonely. After losing your father, you're going to take the only thing that gives her joy? That was the first time I heard the story they were telling. Sarah is cold. Sarah is pulling away. Sarah doesn't appreciate her mother. The night after the school meeting, I waited until Emma fell asleep. I sat at my kitchen table with the pink notebook and read every entry, not as a daughter, as an auditor. Entry from September 12th. Grandma says Mommy forgets to pick me up sometimes. I don't remember that, but Grandma says I was little. That never happened, not once. Entry from October 3rd. Grandma showed me my new room. It has my name on the door. She says it's mine forever. Entry from October 20th. We play the memory game again. I tell Grandma what Mommy says about weekends and Grandma writes it down. She says it's for keeping me safe. Write it down. My mother was documenting my parenting through my 8-year-old. Entry from November 8th. Grandma showed me a photo album. It's about our family. Mommy isn't in a lot of the pictures. Grandma says that's because Mommy was busy, but I look happy in them. A book where I'd been edited out. I mapped each entry against the calendar on my fridge. Every single one followed a weekend at Mom's. The language escalated from confused to convinced. I watched my daughter's trust shift in real time, page by page, weekend by weekend. Trust takes years to build and 6 months to steal. I didn't sleep. By 7 a.m., I was in the car. Mom's house was 22 minutes away, past the frozen yogurt shop, left at the old church, down Sycamore until the houses got bigger and the sidewalks disappeared. Her car wasn't in the driveway. Tuesday morning, Bible study until 10. The front door was unlocked. It always was. I walked past the living room, the kitchen, the den where Dad's recliner still held the shape of his body. The guest bedroom door was closed. It had never been closed before. I opened it. The room wasn't a guest room anymore. A wooden nameplate hung above a twin bed with a yellow quilt. Emma is painted in block letters. The closet was open. Inside, 14 outfits are folded by color. New shoes, a toothbrush and a cup on the nightstand. On the shelf, a cloth-covered album. I picked it up. The cover read in my mother's handwriting, Our Family, a memory book for Emma. I opened it. Page 1, Dad holding newborn Emma at the hospital. Page 3, Dad, Mom, and Emma at Easter. page after page, 20, 30 photos. In less than half of them was I anywhere visible. My elbow is in one, my shadow in another, my face is gone, cropped out. The last page was blank except for handwritten labels, moving day. Below the album, a manila folder. Inside, a business card from a family law attorney, 2 pages of printed notes, grandparents' rights, guardianship petitions, state statutes, and a printout of enrollment paperwork for Oakwood Elementary. The school 4 blocks from my mother's house. I heard the garage door. Mom came in through the kitchen. Keys hit the counter, her footsteps paused. Sarah, she appeared in the doorway. Her face went through 3 expressions in 2 seconds, surprise, then calculation, then offense. You're going through my house. I read Emma's journal today. My voice was flat, compliance voice. The one I use when a bank's numbers don't add up. She crossed her arms. What journal? The one her teacher flagged. Emma writes about the secret game. Where do you tell her what to say when I ask about weekends? Something flickered in her eyes, not guilt. Recognition, like she'd rehearsed this conversation and was annoyed it came early. Everything I do is for that child, she said. You're at work 60 hours a week. She needs stability. She has stability. She has a babysitter and microwave dinners. I let that land. She wanted me to flinch. I didn't. Mom, there's a nameplate, a closet full of clothes, a folder with a lawyer's card and enrollment forms for Oakwood. Her chin lifted. A grandmother has rights. A grandmother has limits. I picked up the memory book. The manila folder. I walked past her without touching her. I'm taking Emma home. We're done for now. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that the person she loves most has been lying to her? Emma was in the backyard, sitting cross-legged with the neighbor's golden retriever. She looked up and her face did that thing it had been doing for months, a quick scan, reading the room before she committed to an expression. Hey Bug, grab your backpack, we're heading home. But it's not pickup day, change of plans. In the car, she held her backpack against her chest like a shield. 2 miles passed. Then, did I get Grandma in trouble? I looked at her in the rearview mirror, 8 years old, brown ponytail she'd done herself, eyes doing math I shouldn't have made her do. No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong. But I wrote the stuff in my journal. Ms. Alvarez reads them sometimes. Grandma said not to write about the game. Her voice got smaller. But it's a writing journal. You're supposed to write what's real. I pulled into a gas station, turned around in my seat. Emma, listen to me. You never have to keep secrets from me. Not from Grandma, not from anyone, never. She nodded, then quietly, can I still see Grandma? I didn't answer right away. Nothing about this was clean or simple. We'll figure it out, I said. But right now, you and me were going home. That evening, I put Emma to bed early. She fell asleep in 9 minutes, faster than she had in months. I sat at the kitchen table with a legal pad and a pen. I wrote a timeline, 18 months of every other weekend. When Emma started coming home quietly, the group chat went cold. When Mom first said she'd be better off here, the timeline looked like a campaign. Because it was one. The next morning, I called the school counselor, Dr. Park. She was careful, professional, careful, the way people are when they know something might become a legal record. We've seen a shift in Emma over the past few months, she said. Withdrawal, anxiety around pickup days. She asked the counselor once if moms can lose their kids. That sentence sat in my stomach like a stone. October. She'd been carrying that fear for 7 months. I told Dr. Park I was suspending weekend visits. She said that was a parenting decision, not a school one, but that she supported consistency for Emma. Mom didn't call me, she called everyone else. Within 48 hours, I got 9 phone calls, 4 texts, and a voicemail from a cousin I hadn't spoken to since the funeral. The narrative was set. Sarah is punishing her grieving mother. Sarah is keeping Emma away over nothing. Sarah has always been difficult, Jenna called first. Mom's been crying for 3 days. Did she tell you why I came over? She said you barged in and accused her of things. Did she tell you about the bedroom, the lawyer's card, the school enrollment? Silence, then. She's 64, Sarah. She's lonely. You're making this into something it is. Aunt Patricia was worse. She left a voicemail that started with honey and ended with a threat. If you don't let that woman see her grandchild, this family will never forgive you. I sat with my phone on the counter and watched the messages pile up. Every one of them told the same story, Mom's story. The one where she was the victim and I was the villain and Emma was a prize I was selfishly hoarding. Nobody asked about the journal. Nobody asked about the room. Nobody asked what Emma had written. Emma had a tablet, a hand-me-down from Mark with a cracked screen and a dinosaur case. I'd never thought to check the messages. But on Thursday evening while she was in the bath, the tablet chimed. I glanced at the screen. A notification from a group text thread I'd never seen before. The thread was called Family Plan. 4 members: Mom, Jenna, Aunt Patricia, and Emma's tablet logged into Mom's old Apple ID. I opened it, 214 messages. The oldest was from January. Mom, Sarah canceled again. She's using Emma's fever as an excuse. We need to document this. Jenna, I'll call her Thursday, keep it casual. Mom, 2 weeks later, Emma asked when she could move in. I told her soon, need enrollment sorted by spring. Jenna, have you talked to the lawyer yet? Mom, Thursday appointment. Patricia, what if Sarah finds out? Mom, she won't, she doesn't check anything, she's too busy with work. I scrolled message after message. Plans for the bedroom renovation, updates on the lawyer consultation. Jenna reporting back after phone calls with me, word for word what I'd said, framed as evidence of instability. Screenshots of my texts taken out of context. And this from Mom, sent 3 days before Mrs. Alvarez called me in. She'll thank me one day, Emma will too. I set the tablet down, my hands were steady. My jaw was not. 214 messages. 3 people who sat across from me at Thanksgiving and smiled while coordinating a plan to take my daughter. The birthday party was in 9 days. Mom's 65th. What do you do when the people who raised you become the people you have to protect your child from? I called Jenna the next day. Hey, Care, how's everything? Her kids in the background, cartoons. I've been thinking about Mom's birthday. Are you handling the cake or should I? Oh, Mom already ordered it, the bakery on Main. She's really excited about having everyone together. A pause. She's hoping you'll bring Emma, it would mean a lot. Sure, has the guest bedroom been redone? Last time I was there, it looked different. The silence lasted 5 seconds. What do you mean different? The nameplate, the clothes, the enrollment papers for Oakwood. Jenna's breath caught a small, sharp intake, the sound of someone realizing they've been outflanked. Mom she keeps a few things there for when Emma visits. It's not, you knew about the room. I mean, yeah, she showed me, but it's just grandma stuff. And the lawyer, longer silence. The cartoons suddenly sounded very loud. Mom talked to someone for advice. That doesn't mean, and the group chat, the one called Family Plan, 214 messages where you reported back everything I said. Nothing then, Sarah, you've always blown things out of proportion. Mom is lonely, she lost Dad, she wants to be close to her granddaughter, that's it. Then why does she have a guardianship file? The call ended, Jenna hung up. I spread everything on the kitchen table that Saturday morning. The legal pad with the timelines, the pink notebook, the screenshots of the group chat, printouts of the enrollment paperwork. A photo I'd taken of the nameplate, I lined them up chronologically the way I'd organize a forensic audit. January, Mom begins documenting cancellations. Jenna starts reporting phone calls. February, Mom consults a family law attorney. Guest room renovation begins. March, the memory book appears. Emma's journal entries start. April, Oakwood enrollment paperwork printed. The secret game begins. May, 214 messages. A full campaign. June, Mrs. Alvarez calls me in. 6 months. My mother had run a 6-month operation to replace me as Emma's primary parent, and she'd recruited my sister and my aunt as staff. I went back to the journal, the entry from November. Grandma says soon I won't have to live with Mommy anymore. I cross-referenced it with the chat. Same week, Mom had texted Jenna, enrollment deadline is December 15th, we need to move. Move. Like this was a real estate transaction. The hardest boundaries are the ones you build against the people who taught you how to love. I called a lawyer the next day, Diane Cross. Her office was above a laundromat on 2nd Street. She had a desk covered in case files and a framed sign that read, "Evidence, not emotion." I liked her immediately. I laid everything out, the journal, the screenshots, the photos, the enrollment forms, the attorney's card. Diane read for 10 minutes without speaking. Then she set down her glasses. "Your mother's guardianship play is dead on arrival," she said. "In this state, a fit parent's decision about visitation is presumptively correct. Courts don't override that for a lonely grandmother." What about the lawyer she consulted? That attorney probably told her the same thing. She might pursue grandparent visitation, but the burden's on her to prove that cutting contact harms the child. Diane tapped the notebook. Based on what Emma wrote, contact is what's causing harm. Diane outlined the steps: formalize sole custody with Mark's written agreement, file a protective order if needed, set terms for any future contact, supervised, scheduled, documented. What about the trust? I asked. Dad's estate was modest, the house, a savings account, and a $529 education fund for Emma. I was the sole trustee. Mom had been asking about the fund since the funeral. Add an independent co-trustee, Diane said. A bank or a CPA takes it completely off the table. I signed a retainer, $375. Walking to my car, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not anger, not sadness, clarity. The birthday party was in 7 days. I let them think I was coming to make peace. Jenna texted on Monday, "Mom's really hoping Saturday goes well. She wants the family together." I replied, "I'll be there." Patricia called on Tuesday, "Will you bring Emma?" "I'm still figuring out the details," I said. What I didn't say, Emma wouldn't be there. I'd already made arrangements. Mark, solid, dependable, short attention span, had agreed to take Emma for the whole day. "What do you need?" He'd asked after reading the journal entries. "I need you to take Emma on Saturday all day. She can't go to Mom's, not for any reason." Done. The most useful sentence my ex-husband had spoken in 3 years. I spent the rest of the week preparing. Not rehearsing, I wasn't going to give a speech, I was going to state facts. I organized the documents, copies of the chat screenshots, the enrollment papers, the journal entry, just the one line that mattered. I put them in a manila envelope, thin, light, heavier than anything I'd ever carried. Mom called on Thursday, her voice was warm, controlled. "I'm so glad you're coming, sweetheart. I've been thinking maybe we can sit down and talk, just us." "Sure, Mom, we can talk. And you'll bring Emma?" "I'll see you Saturday." I never answered her question. She heard what she wanted to hear. That was her weakness. It always had been. On Friday morning, Diane's office, I signed 3 documents. The first, a joint custody clarification with Mark's notarized agreement, me as primary custodial parent, him as cooperative co-parent. No third-party authority over Emma's schooling, medical care, or living arrangements. The second, the co-trustee addition for Dad's 529 fund, a local CPA named Ruth Bennett, no connection to my family. From that point forward, any distribution required 2 signatures. The third, a formal letter to my mother's attorney stating that any pursuit of grandparent visitation or guardianship would be opposed with full documentation of the alienation pattern. "She'll probably never file," Diane said. "But if she does, this letter becomes Exhibit A." I paid the invoice. $640. Every cent felt like armor. Saturday morning arrived gray and cool. I put on a navy blouse, khakis, and flat shoes. No armor, no war paint, just clothes for a woman going to her mother's birthday party, to tell the truth. Mom's street was lined with cars, Jenna's minivan. Patricia's Buick, 3 others I recognized from family reunions, and a white sedan I didn't know, probably one of Mom's church friends. I parked at the end of the block, sat in the car for 2 minutes. The pink notebook was in my bag. The manila envelope sat on the passenger seat. I picked it up, slid it into my purse, and got out. The front yard was decorated, balloons tied to the mailbox, silver and white. 65 in cursive, a banner across the porch. "Happy birthday, Linda." Someone had set up a folding table with a white tablecloth near the rose bushes. I could hear voices inside, laughter, the clink of glasses, the smell of brisket from the backyard smoker. Aunt Patricia opened the door, coral blouse, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Sarah. We were wondering when you'd get here." She looked past me. "Where's Emma?" "Emma S with her dad today." The smile thinned. "Your mother S going to be disappointed." "I know." Inside, the living room was full, 12, maybe 15 people, cousins, neighbors, Mom's Bible study group. Jenna stood near the kitchen with a glass of wine mid-laugh. She saw me and her face rearranged itself into pleasant surprise. "Care, hey." I hugged her, she hugged me back. The last hug we'd share for a long time, though neither of us knew it yet. Mom was in the dining room, arranging plates. She wore a cream-colored dress and the pearl earrings Dad had given her on their 30th anniversary. She looked up. "Sweetheart," she smiled. "Where's my Emma?" I set my purse on the sideboard. "We need to talk, Mom." She tapped a glass with a butter knife. The room went quiet. "Actually," she said, "I have something to say first." She stood at the head of the dining table, glass raised. 15 people turned toward her. "Thank you all for being here," she said. 65 years. "I never thought I'd celebrate this one alone." She paused, let the weight of it settle. "Losing Robert changed everything, but the one bright spot, the one thing that kept me going, was my granddaughter." A murmur of sympathy. Patricia nodded. A neighbor put her hand over her heart. "I've tried to be a good grandmother," Mom continued. "I've opened my home, I've given my time, I've loved that little girl like she was my own." Jenna glanced at me, a quick check, making sure I was softening. "But lately," Mom's voice cracked. Practiced or real, I couldn't tell anymore. "Lately, I've been kept from her, and I don't understand why." She looked at me. The whole room looked at me. "Sarah, I'm not saying this to embarrass you. I'm saying it because this family deserves the truth. I've been a devoted grandmother, and for the past 3 weeks, I haven't been allowed to see Emma, not a phone call, not a visit." Patricia leaned forward. "That's not right." "All I've ever wanted," Mom said, "is what's best for that child." She set down her glass, her hands were steady, her eyes were wet. She'd be better off here with me, I've always believed that, and I think if Robert were here, he'd agree. The room exhaled sympathetic nods, and Aunt wiped her eye. Jenna watched me with an expression that said, "Your move, fold." I didn't fold. I reached into my purse and placed the pink notebook on the table. "Emma wrote something," I said. "Her teacher had to call me in." The notebook sat on the white tablecloth between the dinner plates. Pink cover, mermaid sticker. It looked small and absurd next to the crystal glasses and the birthday cake. "Emma keeps a journal for school," I said. "Her teacher, Mrs. Alvarez, reads them as part of the social-emotional curriculum. 3 weeks ago, she flagged several entries and called me in. She's a mandated reporter. She was required to. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The entries describe what happens during weekends at Mom's house. Emma writes about something she calls the memory game, where Mom coaches her on what to say when I ask about her weekends. She writes about being told that I'm too busy to be a good mother, that I forgot to pick her up once, that I was going to send her away. Mom started, I'm not finished. The room was absolutely still. I could hear the smoker hissing in the backyard. Someone's phone buzzed in a purse. Nobody reached for it. She writes about a room at Mom's house. A room with her name on the wall, new clothes in the closet, a photo album that Mom made, one where I've been cut out of most of the pictures. I looked at my mother. She was standing very straight, her hands gripping the back of a dining chair. Emma also writes this. I opened the notebook to the flagged page. I didn't read the whole entry, just one line, the one that mattered. Grandma says soon I won't have to live with Mommy anymore. I set the notebook back down and let the sentence sit in the room like a third person at every table. Patricia's hand went to her mouth. The cousin who'd been shaking her head earlier stopped. Jenna set down her wine glass very carefully, like she was afraid it would shatter. I drove to Mom's house after the school meeting, I said. The guest bedroom isn't a guest bedroom anymore. There's a twin bed with a yellow quilt, a nameplate that says Emma. 14 outfits in the closet, a toothbrush on the nightstand. I took a breath, kept going. On the shelf, there's a cloth-covered album called Our Family, a memory book for Emma. 30 pages of photos. In more than half of them, I've been cropped out. The last page is blank. It says moving day. Mom's grip on the chair tightened. Her knuckles were white. Below the album, a manila folder. Inside, a business card from a family law attorney. Printed notes on grandparents' rights and guardianship petitions. And enrollment paperwork for Oakwood Elementary, the school 4 blocks from this house. I reached into my purse, took out the manila envelope, placed it on the table next to the notebook. I also found a group chat. 214 messages between Mom, Jenna, and Aunt Patricia on Emma's tablet, logged into Mom's old Apple ID. 18 months of coordination, reports on my phone calls taken out of context, plans for the bedroom, updates on the lawyer, screenshots of my texts. I looked at Jenna. She stared at the tablecloth. I didn't make any of this up, she wrote it down. I straightened, let the silence hold. Those are the facts, you can read the journal yourselves. Nobody reached for it, Mom moved first. She let go of the chair and stepped toward me. Her face went through something I'd never seen before, a rapid collapse of performance into fury. How dare you? Her voice shook. How dare you come into my home on my birthday and do this? I didn't step back. I didn't raise my voice. I came because you planned to do it to me. Jenna's text said, if she doesn't cooperate, we bring it up in front of everyone. I just brought different evidence. After everything I've been through. After I buried your father while you filed paperwork. Dad died 2 years ago, Mom. I miss him every day, but his death doesn't give you the right to take my daughter. She started crying, not quiet tears, the gasping, shuddering kind that fills a room and demands a response. Patricia moved toward her. Mom held up a hand. I'll get a lawyer, she said, a real one. I have rights. You consulted one already, and I've consulted one too. My voice stayed level. In this state, a fit parent's decision on visitation is presumptively correct. Your guardianship petition has no legal basis. The trust now has an independent co-trustee, and any future contact with Emma will be supervised, scheduled, and on my terms. Mom stared at me, her mouth opened, nothing came out. I'm not doing this to punish you, I said. I'm doing this because an 8-year-old girl was afraid to tell her mother the truth, because you taught her that honesty had a price. I picked up the notebook, I picked up the envelope. She already has a mother. I walked toward the door. Behind me, the room rearranged itself. Great-Aunt Phyllis, 82, barely spoke at family gatherings, cleared her throat. Linda, is this true? The album, the enrollment papers? Mom didn't answer. She was crying into Patricia's shoulder. Patricia's face had gone pale. Because if it's true, Phyllis continued, that's not grandmothering. That's something else entirely. Jenna picked up her purse. She didn't look at anyone. She walked through the kitchen and out the back door. The screen door slapped shut behind her. Nobody followed. A neighbor, Mrs. Chen from across the street, stood and put on her jacket. "I think I should go," she said to no one in particular. Two of Mom's Bible study friends followed her out. The cake sat untouched, silver and white candles. 65 in buttercream. The brisket was probably burning in the backyard. I stopped at the front door, turned around. "Mom, you're not losing the house. I'm not revoking your life estate. I'm not cutting you out of the trust. And if you do the work, real work, with a family therapist, supervised and documented, there may be a path back to a relationship with Emma." She looked up from Patricia's shoulder. "But that path goes through me," I said. "Not around me, never around me again." I walked out, down the porch steps, past the silver balloons, past the Happy Birthday Linda banner that was already curling at one corner. In the car, I sat for 30 seconds. My hands were steady, my heart was not, but my hands were steady and that was enough. I called Mark. "How's Emma?" "She's great, we made pancakes." She put chocolate chips in the shape of a smiley face. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. The following Monday, Diane filed the formal custody clarification. Mark signed without hesitation. The co-trustee arrangement went into effect on Wednesday. Mom didn't call, not Monday, not Tuesday, not for 12 days. The group chat Clark family went silent. No messages, no read receipts. Just a thread that ended mid-sentence like a conversation someone walked away from and never came back to. Jenna texted once. 6 days after the party. 4 words, "You didn't have to." I read it, didn't reply. Some sentences are their own answer. Patricia sent a longer message through Aunt Philly's. She said Mom was devastated and not eating. She said the family was torn apart. She didn't say anything about the journal, the room, the album, the group chat, the enrollment forms, the 214 messages. She said torn apart like it was something I'd done, not something I'd uncovered. Phillies, to her credit, told Patricia to stop. Mom kept the house. I didn't touch the life estate. She kept her portion of Dad's savings. I didn't revoke a dime. The only thing that changed was access to Emma and to the trust. Both now had guardrails that didn't exist before. Diane sent the formal letter to Mom's attorney. 2 weeks later, the attorney's office confirmed they would not be pursuing a visitation petition. The file was closed. Emma started therapy on a Tuesday. She liked the therapist, a woman named Dr. Grace who had a sand tray and a collection of tiny animals. After the 3rd session, Dr. Grace told me Emma was remarkably self-aware for her age. She knows what happened to her wasn't right. She just needed someone to confirm it. I knew the feeling. 3 weeks later, Emma came home from school with a new notebook. "Blue this time, no sticker. My old one's full," she said. I'd kept the pink notebook in a box on the top shelf of my closet. Next to it was one photo I'd saved from the memory book, the only one where both Emma and I were visible. Christmas morning 2 years ago, Emma on my lap, mid-laugh, frosting on her chin from a cinnamon roll. I was looking at her, not the camera. My mother had somehow missed it when she was editing the album, or maybe she'd left it in on purpose. I'll never know. The rest of the memory book was in the same box, sealed. I didn't burn it, I didn't throw it away. Someday, Emma might want to understand what happened in her own time with her own eyes. One night, about a month after the party, Emma was writing in the blue notebook at the kitchen table. I asked what she was writing about. "Today," she said. "Ms. Alvarez says write what's real." "What's real today?" She thought about it. Then she wrote something, closed the notebook, and carried it to her backpack. "Our house," she said, "and mac and cheese from a bag." I laughed, she laughed. The apartment smelled like garlic and cheap cheese sauce. And it was enough, it was more than enough. Protecting your child isn't cruelty, it's the quietest, hardest kind of love. That's my story, one journal, one teacher picked up the phone, and a boundary I should have set sooner. If someone ever tries to teach your child to fear you, believe the child. If this story found you today, drop a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one.